Welcome everyone who is already on. Before we begin today's presentation, I just wanted to cover a little bit of housekeeping for you. Today's presentation will be recorded, so keep an eye on your inbox for communication from us with a link to that recording and some of the links that we'll be sharing during today's presentation. Um, Also, if you have any questions for either of our presenters today during today's presentation, please feel free to direct them via the chat and or the Q&A, and we will do our best to get to everyone's questions and comments as they come in or at specific points during the presentation where we can pause and take some of those. But we do have a pretty full presentation today, so time might be not on our side for that. But if we can't get to all the questions, we'll make sure we follow up with everyone and get to them as after the session. So we'll give it just another second here, let more people log in as we go here. I see there's a lot of people that have joined. We've got people from Denver, South Carolina, Netherlands, Idaho, some of
Italy.
Italy. Yeah. So the people are from all over the place. That's great. We like to know where people are joining us from. So we'll just give it another minute here with California popping in here too. So that's great. But we'll give it just another second and then I will give a little bit of an introduction and we'll have our presenters take it away. So give us just another moment too.
That's fun. These webinar meetings and stuff, the like Zoom we're using today. It's like going through the airport. Every time you go through the airport, something in security's changed, and I don't recall it popping up a little message, but I'm enjoying reading those. From California said good morning, and from Italy, good morning. I'm in Alpharetta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. James.
Yeah, I'm in Dublin in Ireland, so it is the afternoon for me. It's coming up to 4 minutes past 4. So good afternoon, good morning to everyone.
Tom's from Charlotte. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to those from Europe. Yep.
I'm not on camera, but I'm Ray Swanson. I'm the director of global marketing here at Liquidware, and I am in the Chicago area. So we've got people all over the world here, and that's great. So with that being said, we'll take a minute here, and I see still a good amount of people logging in. All right, I think we studied up enough and we can go ahead and get started. So welcome. Thank you all for joining us for today's presentation. Today we're covering what's new in the Liquidware solution set. We'll be covering our core products of ProfileUnity, FlexApp, Stratusphere UX, and CommandCTRL. And our presenters today, Jason E. Smith, who is our VP of Alliances and Marketing, and James O'Regan, who is our lead product marketing manager. They're going to take us through today's presentation and tell us a little bit about what's new in some of our core products. So gentlemen, take it away.
Thanks, Ray. James, if you want to go on to the next couple, that'd be good. I think people see our cameras on. That's great. Love live webinars. There's our prettier mug shots. And then we always love to tell the audience, because we have a lot of current customers on today, and I just, you guys know Liquidware was founded in 2009, but I'd like to never miss an opportunity to tell our customers thank you for your business. We're a privately held company that's been quite successful over the years, and you'll see as in today that we build our feature sets based on what customers are requesting, customers are asking for, not necessarily where industry experts say that Liquidware should go, but the industry experts are our customers, and they say where we should go with our technology, and you'll see evidence of that today. Just to recap, if you are new to Liquidware, we provide the industry's only digital workspace solution suite, and you may see competing functionality in stacks such as Omnissa or Citrix, but you're not going to see an independent authority that innovates in each of these areas, that just doesn't, puts a check in a box and says, here's your user management or here's your app delivery. No, we innovate in these areas. We have features in there that we continually push the envelope forward on what we're doing. You'll see many of those things today. That way we lead in there across all Windows desktops for what we do, virtual, cloud, physical, it doesn't matter. Our solution suite for digital workspace works across any way you deliver Windows and your thin clients. You'll see added features in there, as I said today, that none of these, standard check in the box digital workspace management from those vendors that they support, because I'm reminding you why you chose Liquidware in the first place. It's the innovation, and you'll be reminded of that over and over again today, and why you should choose Liquidware, because we lead in every one of these areas. Modern app delivery with FlexApp. You'll see updates in here in the next few slides of what we've added in there for FlexApp. That is keeping the application separate from the base image so you can deliver the best digital experience, because after all, it doesn't get any more personal than giving you your applications that you need to be productive to enhance the actual digital experience. The user and app management portion of ProfileUnity's had updates in it as well, and that's well beyond the profile. We named that solution ProfileUnity because it unifies other things other than the profile, unifies other parts of the user experience. And so it is well beyond making a profile stick. FSLogix can do that. We can work with that. But we provide extra functionality on top of that to be able to go between operating system versions, to provide business continuity, disaster recovery, to have a backed up or archived version of that profile can be restored as soon as you have to reset a machine, or if the profile has become corrupt. We provide all that extra functionality, get very granular on how you do that. But then policy management, that's the other part of the unification there. It's all one management console. Application restrictions, we've enhanced that. You'll see that today. Privilege elevation, we've enhanced that. You'll see that today in the next few slides. And then the access to user authored data. We provide standardized points where you get that. So if you roll that in, you have a unified profile experience, and that's ProfileUnity, where you can log off of any Windows machine, log on to another one, and instantly that machine has become very personal to you and your experience, so you're instantly productive. It ends the migration cycle for end users if you have that in place. And that's what that's the advantage of having it outside of the stack of Citrix or Omnissa or AVD or anything like that, is that experience flows no matter where you go. So if you want to go to AVD soon, or you want to go to Windows 365 soon for your users, all this stuff flows with them. And this is the case with the user apps as well for FlexApp. It's the case with knowing the user experience with our DEX solutions, which is next here on the list to tell you a little bit about. Stratusphere UX is the leader in providing the most comprehensive user experience metrics, so monitoring and analytics across any Windows environment. Really so granular that if there's a metric, can it monitor? Yes, the answer is yes, because customers have asked us for features over the years, and we have added that over the last couple of decades. And you then reap the benefits of having all that data at your fingertips. And Stratusphere UX is increasingly giving you just what you need to know, because you've got a wide windshield of information possible to you, both higher and great from left to right on what you can see for the user experience. But then we give you dashboard views, so we'll customize it directly for you. So your daily views, you can see exactly what you need to know for your organization, what the digital experience is in there. It doesn't take action except for Optimizer. And Optimizer really tunes the RAM and CPU for a machine. You can get an extra year out of a machine, hardware, or even virtual machine hardware that's on the background, because we give that user experience a real kick, a real boost, where the user has a more snappy, more responsive session, because apps that are in use in the forefront will get more RAM, CPU automatically tuned towards them. And then command control, we've had updates on one of our newest solutions, real-time remediation, also a DEX solution. It lets you reach out and touch someone. It's help desk operations best friend, because someone calls and says my machine's slow. You can, at a glance, let me toggle between all 2 or 3 machines that they're logged onto in this modern day, right? I can see the one that you think is slow. The user may not have known what they meant by slow. You can tune into it real quick. It's got a DVR feature in there, so if they said it happened before, lunch or yesterday, you can just go back in time and see the telemetry pop up for processes that were running at the time that they said they were having the bottleneck issue. So you can head that off. You can look at all those things. You can kill processes. You can restart them. You can run a quick script to remedy something. And you can invoke some of the industry's best remote control standardization if you need to take over that machine and to fix something. So you'll see new updates from the entire stack. It's not always the case with what's new. We do what's new every 6 months is what we do here at Liquidware. And at this interval, we have something new to tell you about everything in there. So let's keep going and get right into it today. We're going to start out with ProfileUnity and FlexApp. And this is the latest version of the console. If your console doesn't look like this, you need to take a little bit of time and you need to update your console. You'll know up here in the right-hand corner that update. You see there's a download pending up there next to Jack, our field CTO up there. He has our office, the CTO as well. He's got a little update pending. He could update his. It's because he was running the beta and there was something in there new for that. So if you see an update pending, you can update yours very easily, right? So editing configuration, that update button separate, but under your configuration settings. So check that out. Make sure that you're on the latest version. We just shipped 6.9.5. And so if you're not on that version, you have an update pending. And it's easy to update. It will update the management console, and then it will. Then the other part is to update the client piece that's on each individual Windows machine or in the base image of your servers. Functionality for the feature set in there remains largely the same, but there's some granularity under there. We'll get to in a minute. One of the biggest things that we have added for FlexApp and for ProfileUnity in there, when you're looking at it under one console, is full isolation. FlexApp had the advantage over just about anything in the market by not running as an isolated app. It was very native. So when you had a container come in and it was a FlexApp container, it would work, react, and it still does, is exactly as though it were installed in that base image. And that is a huge, huge advantage of running FlexApp, because your compatibility list for the number of apps are going to reach somewhere in the neighborhood of close to, if not 100% of the apps that you want to do this way, you can do this way. I say close to 100% because many organizations, we've taken their list that they want to do and we get to 100%. Maybe you put one or two things in the base image, or maybe you do isolate something, and that's where we are getting an even higher compatibility rate. And isolation is now an edge use case. Microsoft AppV is, for all intents and purposes, end of life. The client and the sequencer are still alive, but that means their packager and their client. But their deployment method for AppV server is now end of life, so you're out of options there, and they're not adding any functionality. It's not a secret. It's not an insult to Microsoft. It's that it is really in a maintenance mode type situation. So organizations need a way to isolate, fully isolate, because there's some edge use cases out there. You want to run apps side by side. You now have FlexApp sandbox isolation, brand new feature set from us, and it's a brand new use of technology that no one in the market has really used before for doing this. In Windows 11, there's a sandbox mode included in Windows 11. I believe it's in Professional and Greater, and you can activate that in your feature set. It's included, and you can run an isolated version of Windows there. We have leveraged that technology and built on top of it to give you a FlexApp sandbox. The user doesn't necessarily think they're launching another machine or anything like that, but that's how isolated it is running. And this feature is meant for Windows 11 and forward, and you should be on it at this point and not paying for extended support for Windows 10. So you should have access to that, to flip that on in the OS, and then you can run FlexApp sandbox mode as an option, right? Because FlexApp core capabilities of not being isolated is still the way to go. As a matter of fact, they run in an isolated sandbox mode, but the app itself is not isolated from that environment. So it's the best of both worlds. This graphic outlines it pretty amazingly. It is, you see it in its own Windows instance there. It runs in an isolated Windows environment, strong isolation. It is ephemeral by design, meaning it is there and present until you reset it and bring it back. It still relies on the user profile to be shared out to the local host. and that part is seamless. There's other shared host resources, as you see down there in that box. You can do copy and paste between it. You can share storage. You can share a certain number of things. Otherwise, it's fully isolated from the endpoint. It's a seamless user experience that it preserves the host environment itself by not touching it. And so what are the use cases for this? It is if you had two versions of an app, that's the primary thing, right? Two or more versions of the app, you need to run them side by side. You now have an option to do that. And you'll see that in the demo here that we show in a minute. This is a common one would be CAD, CAM, and you've got an architectural firm for something like an airplane that's been built or a building that's been built, and you need a very specific version to look up the schematics of that building, and you need that very specific version of CAD. You could have that embedded and running on your local machine. You could have it running as a FlexApp that is looking native to your local machine, and now you can have it pulled in from FlexApp so you can run applications side by side. You could even have another one coming in from a FlexApp as a published app. So it's isolation. It's when it's needed. It covers those extra edge use cases. Now that AppV is end of life for all intents and purposes, it covers all that. We're excited to deliver it in a new way that really no one's done before. It gives you the advantage of having really that there. The other use case for it could be AI processes. Maybe you've got local AI and you don't want it to have anything to do with your users' machines. Well, run it in FlexApp sandbox mode, and you'll have that arm's length and isolated from your users and from your network. So there's a level of security there that you're providing there for AI processes that that your organization may be sensitive or that you need to run those in an environment like that for compliance. Thank you for that, James. And let's move on to the extra detail of why it matters. It really allows you to deploy the apps with strict compatibility and security requirements, eliminate software interference from complex or mixed environments. Maybe you've got a conflict that you can't run it with another app. It cleans all that up and makes that possible. It strengthens security by limiting the interaction, as I said, like the example I gave was the AI processes, and it enforces that extra compliance. All while having the best of both worlds, because it still runs as a native looking app to that OS. That FlexApp technology is still working there, but it's isolated from the host OS, which is a local user's OS. So I've covered some of these. We'll recap them again. They are, making apps run side by side. It's those AppV edge use cases, isolating from AI processes and meeting that stringent compatibility there. You still have access to host resources such as copy and paste, making everything seamless across the board. So really is the best of both worlds. If you're looking for an AppV replacement from the leader in modern app delivery, you've got it now in this area as well for FlexApp. A lot of those use cases of isolation are dead anyway, and FlexApp Core was already addressing those. But there are a few out there, we would agree, and the users have asked us for. You guys that are our customers have asked us for this functionality. So you have it now. It's no extra fee, and it's included. Let's show you how that works on the coming slides. We got the demo in just a minute for that. But the other things new in this version are the console backend migration. We have now taken advantage of .NET Core 10.x. So this just updates things that we need to, and you have to stay up to date across the board. It was a lift for our development team, but just know that you are in compliance there if you needed to be off the old .NET Core versions for any compliance reason, security vulnerabilities and everything. So it gives you a stronger security posture, knowing and having confidence that your vendors like Liquidware and everything that we have has been updated across the board. And it's also going to embrace our SaaS deployment model, which is coming soon. So that's a little sneak peek there. ProfileUnity is not SaaS, but there's going to be a SaaS option coming soon. So meaning you host the management console in your environment, you'll have an option soon within the year, we believe, that you'll have that as an option instead of needing to host your own console. It helps future-proof things going forward, and it keeps best practices put in place. So another bump in innovation that we've got inside the solution is enhanced application restrictions. We've had customers use these over the years, and these are allow and deny rules. in here, and what they usually do is you set up a machine and you want to restrict something. So I'll say that first. You want to restrict something so you can add what is also known as a blacklist, right? The user does not have permission to run solitaire or whatever you want to say, solitaire.exe, and the user wouldn't be able to do that. That's something we've done for a long time. We've also had allow lists for quite a while. The thing here, and to describe this, and what we've added in here is the allow. You can not only allow a specific executable when you give a path, but you are allowing a path, not a specific executable, but allowing a path. So when you set that in place in ProfileUnity and you're leveraging this, you're saying an allow rule in a specific path will turn that entire path of things into basically a kind of a kiosk thing. It really restricts everything else other than what is there. And so what we've done there is we've said when you put in an allow rule that has a path, now you can also, it would override anything and you couldn't deny anything under it. Now you can deny something under a very specific path as well. So it gives you more granularity on the use cases there. And real world use case for this, right, was that we have a lot of customers, it's no secret, that want to look at ProfileUnity because we're a leader in user management. Avanti, the old RES solution that was out of that was first out of the Netherlands, company that James and I are very familiar with, having worked a little bit with them in the past, and others. They had very granular rules in there. So this gives you a one-to-one use case for ways to implement this. And we appreciate customers that have asked us for this, and now it's in the solution, giving you granularity mainly under the allow area. So allow a path, but now everything is not by default and overridden allowed. You can come in there and you can restrict either another path, a subpath, or you can restrict a very specific executable under there, and you'll have all those one-to-one use cases that you are used to with any other competing solution in there. Gives you great capabilities for audit and compliance. Gives you great capabilities for machines you want to turn into a kiosk mode, not just to walk into a lobby for a kiosk, but maybe you want a call center machine that the only thing that a user can do is use XYZ program to do their task, right? You don't want them doing anything else. And so that's where some of the use cases come into play, really for security, really for user productivity. You don't want them touching anything else. You want to lock it down. You want to give it the granularity to be locked down by the method that you choose. We still have built in there a lot of default things like by default, all Windows processes are allowed and things like that. So there's no worries in there. So that's enhanced application restrictions and allow rules in there. Same goes true for our privilege elevation. Some similar things were added in there that give you more granularity as well. So more about what's new, and we're going to lump in a few things in here really quick. So we like to say the most newsworthy or things that'll turn your head and say, look, that was huge that we added. Here's a list of other things that have been added in here for ProfileUnity and FlexApp. A single file installer, so it's going to make the install process of the solutions easier. All components are consolidated into one executable now. It replaces the separate zip files and the installer exe, so it's very much streamlined in there. It gives it a clean fit for when you're rolling this out through Intune or SCCM. So standard deployments and no scripts or multi-file handling are needed there. Fewer deployment errors, so we're smoothing things out. So there's it will, quite frankly, any kind of support calls that are opened up because the install didn't go 100% cleanly. These are smooth those out and gives you that single file installer, more streamlined approach for more modern deployment of FlexApp and ProfileUnity. And then we have encrypted the configuration file. The configuration file is what is saved out for ProfileUnity and FlexApp. You want to make a change to an environment for that console you saw earlier and update it. That configuration file is an INI file out there, right? So they're all encrypted at rest now, so you can't just open them up and try to figure out what's going on there. Would have been a little bit difficult anyway in some regards. Not entirely sensitive right, to know a map drive and printer and how a profile is handled like that. We never save user data in that file, is what I'm getting at. But it is now encrypted as well, so there's no one unauthorized can come in there and look at it in an INI file for a configuration of a machine and even see how it is configured, because we are encrypting that while at rest now. I've more or less covered those bullets in my superfluous description of it, probably. So one goal across every workspace, everything that you see here, everything's consistent across there. It gives you that application delivery, user environment, security, and control at work across, as I said, when we opened up for all of our solutions, every way you deliver Windows. And functionality even to be able to help publish out applications to non-Windows environments from published servers. The FlexApp supports that as well. The right apps, the right time, just how you want them in there with stronger security. And it's available now. So this one shipped a couple weeks ago. The still use shipped, right? So we're going to give a quick demonstration of the FlexApp isolation I mentioned earlier. And what we have in here is the ProfileUnity management console, we call it, Liquidware console, where you save off a configuration, because ProfileUnity, FlexApp share the same thing. We've got OpenOffice, 2 different versions here. One, we're going to say sandbox isolation for the 4.1.5 version you'll see here in a minute. You save off a configuration. And just like I said, when that configuration is sitting out on the network, usually in or on file share, it is now encrypted. So that's encrypted. No one could even see what's in that file, who has access to what. So I'm going to log on to my Windows machine here that I use every day as a user, right? And I'm going to have not only the local version of FlexApp in here, FlexApp of OpenOffice is in this environment, but now I've got a second version of OpenOffice in this environment. And I'm going to show you how we run these side by side. And one of them is isolated, and one of them is very native, not isolated to the local OS, stressing local OS here. You see this version that we just launched, which was the 4.1.16 version, is running, and now we're launching the second one. See, it says FlexApp isolation. It's invoking that more modern way to do this. No one else is doing this in the environment, in the industry that we know of right here, and it's launching FlexApp inside an isolated version of Windows. The user does not see a secondary operating system, and that's the magic that we've done with Liquidware. They see a separate app in here. So now we've got 2 apps in here side by side, 2 different versions of the app side by side, coexisting, and we've taken care of that use case for AppV. That was largely one of the biggest use cases of AppV in there, to be able to do that, right? And so the video is looping now, so we're good to go on the demonstration. But that is FlexApp sandbox mode, and you can get it right now. If you haven't updated, you have access to it. We're not charging any extra. It's just another option that you have to get to that 100% compatibility rate for the apps that you do use and how to use it. At this point, James, I want to kick in your energy, and let's talk about what's new with the other solutions.
Thanks so much, Jason. That was a really good update on ProfileUnity. So we're going to keep things going. We're going to start talking about command control. Jason introduced it earlier on. Command control is our real-time remediation solution. And what we've done with command control is we've done some major enhancements to it, and we're going to go through the functionality. Again, like Jason was saying, all of these kind of functions we brought into the solution are all based on things that our customers have been asking us for. So to kick us off, I want to talk about remote control. So command control is a really great solution. You have your console, you can see everything, you can then take actions. But some of our customers were asking us, it's like, that's great, I can do everything through the console, but there's those times when I just need to initiate a full remote control solution. So we tried remote assist and a bunch of other things, and it just wasn't a satisfactory user experience, because we wanted it to be able to work across Windows, across Mac, and Linux. So what do? We built our own remote control solution. So that what we've done is we have our own technology now that we can utilize for remote control, and it's a really smooth experience for the admin and the user. So what can you do? Essentially, you can just, like a standard remote control tool, you take over the user's session. It works across Windows, Mac, and Linux. It gives you that hands-on thing. So if you need to run something, and you can have that kind of live in session remediation. So again, the whole point of command control is all around reducing time to resolution, and this is another kind of way we do it. So you give the benefit to both the IT team and the end user because it's immediate. You can both get on there, you can have discussion, the user can describe the problem while the admin's on there. And so essentially, command control very much now is that complete support solution, because previously, you could do everything from the console, and this was just a slight, slight change. It is now that complete solution. And you're not handing off to a third-party remote control tool. This is all done within the command control console. So what we have here is a desktop. This is within the command control. You choose remote control, and it launches our kind of authentication wizard. And you can see you need a code. So the code is generated. You copy the code. So, again, all of this is logging and auditing everything in the background. And essentially, there you are. You're logged into that session. You can run the browser. You can run whatever you need to run within that. So it's just very simple demo to show the power of remote control. So AI, everywhere you go, all you hear is about AI. So people have been asking, what are Liquidware doing with AI? I suppose, firstly, I want to point out we've taken a kind of a different solution. So we've been looking at things from an intelligence perspective as more so than an automation perspective. So what we've brought out with Command Control 1.5 is our own kind of AI insights. So the insights will basically, as it says, it will give you insights to what's going on that particular desktop. And it integrates with all the kind of standard models. We haven't built our own LLM. We're utilizing public AI models for this. So you do need like your own API key to initiate this. So essentially what it does is you can launch this from real time or from our historical view. And it basically shares all the performance metrics and hardware only. And it can give you like actionable fixes. So, you could say, use the tools within command control. You can do PowerShell. Well, you could generate for Windows, you could generate a script and then run that script via command control on that particular machine. You can speak to it in plain English. You can summarize CPU, disk, memory. You can generate reports. You can look at memory. Excuse me, sorry. And you can create troubleshooting and remediation scripts. So it's all within that bubble of command control that you're not leaving it to initiate the insights. So if we look at it here, so what I've got here is this is the AI Insights window. As I said, it's within the solution. So it's just connecting to that machine. It's pulling in that kind of early data. So it just takes a little bit of time. So what it's done in, sorry. So it just loads up, pulls in the data, and then it kind of gives you an outline of what's going on. So you're very much able to see very quickly, it just takes a little bit of time to kind of get going because it's loading in. If you think about it, it's loading in everything to do with that particular machine. And it also gives you kind of, it's pulling in all the kind of performance and all the data about that particular machine. So it just takes a second or two. So what you can see here is it's pulled in it gathers all the information. It's determined that it has high utilization. It's got, an issue with latency. So it can tell you everything. And here it goes. It tells you what you can do to resolve the issues. And you can ask it for different things. You could ask it for a business justification. Oh, here, can you show me a table all the threshold violations? So it's going to pull in that, and it's going to produce a table of all the threshold violations. As you can see here, produces your table. But so you can have a real-time conversation with it. And as I said, you can get things like scripting or anything like that. So what else have we done with command control? Well, the first version of command control was Windows only. So we've extended that now. So Mac and Linux shell is now supported. We've got x86 and ARM support across our coverage. We've got Windows ARM. Obviously, more and more devices are now running on ARM. Say, for instance, the latest Surface Pro. And we've brought in thin client support for Unicon. Obviously, Unicon was acquired by Citrix, so we're seeing more and more Unicon in the market. So we support Unicon, and we support iGel as one of the two major kind of thin client vendors out there. What else have we done? We've done some changes with how our subscriptions work. So you essentially, with a subscription, you can have a subscription without DVR or with DVR. So the lower cost option, it gives you, is available. So if you're looking for kind of just to utilize all the kind of remediation functionality, that's the version for you. And then we've made some changes on the back end to help with our kind of scaling. And we have this burst scaling with AWS. So if there's kind of demand spikes, we can burst to the cloud utilizing AWS's infrastructure. So it kind of ensures that services are always uninterrupted, and we can, scale as demand requires it. So let's talk now a little bit about Stratusphere. So Stratusphere, as Jason said, if a metric exists, it's in Stratusphere. So it's our deep diagnostics solution. So what have we done with it? We've kind of, our dashboards, these were kind of how you could get those kind of custom views and get what the information you wanted. So we've reimagined these. We've really made some changes. So you can create and edit data sources and widgets and dashboards and really customize it. You can add a dashboard. You can type ahead search to find the right source. And it's fully, and everything is fully compatible with the legacy dashboards. So why does this matter? Well, you can build the views you need without leaving the dashboard. It's much more cleaner. It's more intuitive than the old edit mode. And you're spending less time hunting for the right widget or data source. And it's available today in the current and the preview UX UI. So detailed views. Again, we've made this even better. Loads faster. Your metadata is cached at startup, so you get a quick first view. You've got a drag and drop wizard with a double click to run. Got a blue bar with refresh and your history. You've got powerful filters. So why does this matter? Essentially, you've got less time waiting. You can do more analysis. You can reach the data you need in far fewer clicks. It's very easy to retrace and refine your steps. And you've got friendly column names and filters that anyone can read. So smarter data, you can interact with your data. So you can click a cell for context. You can jump. So this is the thing in terms of the integration between our solutions. So you can access from command control, you can access your Stratusphere hub and pull in the data into command control, but also from Stratusphere, you can jump from Stratusphere into command control. So if you're looking at an individual view on a machine and you want to then take action on it, you click on the button and you're pulled straight into command control. So it's all very seamlessly done, and you don't have, it's just one window into another. So as always, the insights are extremely readable. You can schedule any table as an emailed report. So if you want like a scheduled report, in here you can do it. You can schedule any report, you can export it. So if investigating issues just is so much simpler because you've got data in front of you. You can bridge your monitoring and real-time control in a single click. As I said, you can go from Stratusphere to command control, one click. And you've got scores and you've got ratings that anyone understands, and then the ability to automate your reporting with very little setup. So as I mentioned, you've got individual diagnostics. So you've got new cards, you've got CPU, cube or core, page file, disk queue, and disk latency. So you kind of have that granularity. And obviously, what we've got here is MPU support. So as we all know, most laptops now come with an MPU, and we now have the ability to report on those MPUs and give you the performance metrics on the MPU. So, it kind of gives us support for those kind of modern devices that we're seeing more and more. You can also look at processes by load time, by the user focus. So that's a key one, the kind of user focus, and we've seen quite a few use cases for it. It's like, especially around auditing of usage of applications. Well, this actually shows when that app is in focus for the user. So it's not just when the app is running on the machine, it's when the user is actually utilizing that application. So we're finding a lot of companies are using this feature to determine, if people should have access. Because, say something like back in the day, Visio or Adobe Acrobat. So people have that installed and they've said, oh yeah, I need it. And well, with this metric, you can determine how often they actually use it and then make a judgment call on whether you want them to have it or not. So it kind of gives that insights into the usage of particular applications. And then, we've done some enhancements to smarter search. You can find a machine and see a machine type at a glance. So why does all these changes matter? It's all about pinpointing performance bottlenecks faster. Support for modern GPU and AI PCs as MPUs become, the standard. You can see what's impacting your end user experience, and you can select the date and view persistent across a whole session. So you can pick when the point in time you want to particularly look at. So the other thing is, people have asked us is, and our customers asked us, I want to be able to query Stratusphere with AI. Have you an AI built in? Well, the answer is we don't. But what we have built is our own AI Insights extension. It's available on both the Chrome and Edge stores. And what you can do is essentially you can attach this to your Stratusphere instance, and then you can query Stratusphere. And so you kind of, obviously you have all that data. We've simplified the UI in terms of how you can access and get that data. But to make it even easier, again, we now have our AI Insights extension, and then you can query that data directly. So you can just find out, what are my top 5 users with bad performance? AI Insights will essentially go off and pull in that data straight away. So I suppose the key thing with how we at Liquidware have approached AI is we want to give you intelligence, and then we want to leave it to you to determine what the course of action should be. So we're not giving you full agentic AI that's going to take decisions and start doing things. We leave it in the hands of the admin on what they're going to do. So what I'm going to talk about here is the next kind of version of our kind of AI Insights extension. So we've made a couple of updates to it. So as I said, it's the first version supported all the kind of local cloud-based models. But we have a lot of customers who are in the federal space or in defense and they can't utilize cloud-based models. So what we've done is we've enhanced the AI extension so that it can support local AI models. So as I said, many customers, they can't access these commercial AI providers, or they have difficulty in configuring them. So even the Azure Foundry models can be hard to set up. The documentation is not great. And free and local models remove these barriers to AI adoption. And also what you're seeing now is, there's a cost to utilizing a cloud-based model, whether it's a subscription fee or the token usage. And this is a way of kind of being able to query. If you think about it, obviously a lot of these queries with Stratusphere, they're going to use quite a lot of resources because of the extent of the data. So when you're looking at doing really deep analysis with Stratusphere via the plugin, the local models can give you that kind of flexibility to be able to utilize a local model and then get from and get those cost savings from it. So what's new in this? We've got local host and data center LLM support, Olama, LLM Studio, and kind of generic OpenAI compatible providers. You can install models on your desktop or desktop servers. All of our APIs are OpenAI compatible. And then you can kind of, use provider type, optional model names. And we've made some small enhancements. But I suppose the bigger picture with this is you don't have to use a commercial cloud provider. You can use, if you're utilizing local AI, you can use that with the extension. And now we want to talk about Liquidware Sparks. So Jason, you're going to join me for this.
That's right. We've got a lot of things going on with Liquidware Sparks. So if you don't know what Liquidware Sparks actually is, we launched Liquidware Sparks approximately in November of last year. So in the fourth quarter of last year, to include a lot of the enhancements that the community, including RSCs primarily, have written for our solutions. And a good way to think about Liquidware Sparks is that it is, a lot of times these are add-ons to our products that add functionality that may not be in our products today. And in some cases, they are a proving ground for what might eventually go on the product. In other cases, they are just enhancements that may forever stay a Spark. But you have access to all of these. And they're similar to the way VMware did VMware Flings in the past, right? So Liquidware Sparks, another good way to think about it is they will never be the man in the middle. They will never be the man in the middle that if a Spark were not to work out for you, it would not bring the solution down. In other words, it would not stop your profile from loading. It would not. Those types of Sparks are not allowed. Sparks may enhance the data handling, or they may enhance the configuration of something, but they are not to ever be man in the middle in there. So they're built by experts. They're shared openly. They're right there on our website. You can download them, and they are download and go. They're community supported, and we have a robust community. James, tell them about our community, how that.
Sure. Yeah. So the thing to know about Sparks is they're built by our SMEs and our sales engineers. They're experts in their fields, and they're, as Jason said, they're enhancements. But in terms of support, if you have a query about the Spark, then our Slack community is where you need to be going to. It's not to our support team, because, as we said, these are kind of enhancements. We're testing things out to see what the potential is, and we have seen some of these. They will make their way into our product roadmap. So we do want your feedback on these Sparks, because we do analyze it all, and that feedback is via community as well. So really important to be part of community if to talk about Sparks.
To get to these, you just simply go to our website, and I believe it's under the resources tab, and you would see all of those there. So as you see that we have enhancements, well, I don't think there's a Spark for command control at this time, but there's enhancements for each of the products there, including the Power Tools app for Stratusphere UX. That was a question we got a little bit ago in the question section of the webinar. Do you know? I don't know offhand what's new in Power Tools right now. But we can get that information.
We can get the information, or if you want, you can go on community and you can ask. We will get Chris to respond. So
Chris Walker, who wrote
Chris Walker is our SME who built the power tools for Stratusphere. So as I said, being on community is advantageous in that sense, because you can get directly access to the entire Liquidware team, up as to myself, to Jason, up to our CTO, our CEO. So everyone from Liquidware is active on community. So if you have any questions in that sense, that's the place to go.
Yep, just to talk about a couple of the FlexApp ones, for example, Smart Update would be one that's integrated with the ability to integrate with the repository services like Chocolatey and Winget. So you could, it sets you up to be able to monitor if a new package is available that's in those services, and it can kick off the automated bit of rolling those out as a FlexApp, packaging them up and putting them out there. Jack Smith on our team wrote that one. And the Launch Tester is another one. Launch Tester will actually can run through all your Flex apps and do a quick launch test, and it will take a quick snippet and screenshot, and in a web GUI, it will show you that and it'll say, successfully opened. Here's a screenshot of it. It'll move on to the next one. So if you're doing dozens of applications, it is a great tool to have. Some of these are self-explanatory by what they're named. If you want to see the detail under them, under each one of these, just go out to our resources tab and you'll see what each one of these sparks do. So there's a lot of new ones in there in the last few months.
All right. So we just wanted to highlight our support, because one thing we hear from all of our customers is how good our support is. So there's been a few enhancements to it. So we have extended live support. We've got EMEA business hours, and we have Liquidware AI agent. So we have an AI agent which helps with our support. And as I said, our customers keep saying to us, how good our support is. And that's why we have over 98% satisfaction rating. So, all of our support staff are very seasoned professionals. They, average tenure is at least 6 years. So they know all of our products in depth and are really able to help you out. So these are just kind of some things to highlight with support.
If you want to ask a question, simply email us. The info email is right here on the screen.
Or click on the QR code and join community and drop the questions in there.
Even better.
Yeah.
You may get near real-time responses, because those are in Slack, and a lot of our guys have, they'll pop up if they see those coming in on their desktop.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.